Well, hello. It's Jennifer here. So glad to be here with you. I'm fresh off some conversations. Maybe you felt this way, fresh off some conversations about how everything is moving so quickly. Not only is it moving so quickly, but there are so many changes that we can feel coming politically, economically, in many different ways. And we're not really sure what's going to happen. And as a result, what's happening is the collective nervous system is a little overwhelmed. It's destabilizing when one of the things that our amygdala seeks is stability and predictability and control. But life was really designed to be filled with change and catalysts and evolutions. We're certainly in one of those times right now. Welcome to the Thriving Life Podcast. I'm Jennifer Huff. I'm on a mission to empower you with the knowledge, experiences, and tools to turn your dreams into reality. If you're ready for permanent shifts in your ability to stay unstuck, make glass ceilings your new floors, and want practical tools rooted in applied physics and neuroplasticity to live a life of fulfillment, this podcast is for you. Let's get thriving forward. I've been in front of quite a few people lately, especially, who are asking me questions like, how come going for a walk doesn't work anymore to get me feeling centered? How come I feel as though there's this little, like I don't want to make big decisions right now, or I don't feel grounded enough to do that? And how come the tools that I usually use are not effective the way I feel right now? If you've been feeling that way, maybe a little ungrounded, maybe anxious, perhaps a little overwhelmed, not always. There's this underlying feeling right now because of what's going on in the world. We're standing on the precipice of a fairly big evolution in consciousness, in the way that we plug into life. It's quantum leaping. It feels one of those 7-year Moore's laws thing. Moore's law says that every 7 years, everything exponentiates. And usually he relates it to technology. We're already a technological world, but now it's being exponentiated by quantum computers, which work completely on the laws of physics, and they don't work on zeros and ones. They work on all possibilities all at once. It's like that movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once. We're going from one way of being used to plugging into the world to a whole other way of plugging into the world. And our bodies are aware of that. The communication, 75 trillion cells giving off biophotons, but also the world itself is the world, nature, 8 billion people are giving off biophotons too about what's going on in their world. And we're senders and receivers of those photons. This isn't a woo-woo concept. This is a biological fact. So you are plugged into the world, and we are all connected in so many ways. Those biophotons contain information about what's going on with each other and the evolutions that are happening. So you got to know we're all aware on some level, right? So when we quantum leap, when we go from one entire operating system to another entire operating system, in our work, we call it a thriving operating system shift or a spiral jump. When we go through a spiral jump, you can't work harder at the full. So it's, oh, I'm going to go for a walk. Now I'm just going to walk faster. Or I'm going to go and meditate. Now I'm just going to go meditate longer. It actually requires tools that haven't even been invented yet, because the tools that we've been using so far, this quantum leap has to do with a 30-year used to-ness. The young ones that are coming up are going to be plugged into the speed of what's going on now. But anyone who's over 30 is going to have to get real. Let me give you an example. This last weekend, I'm sheepishly and humbly saying, I won an award for leadership. And I went to Opryland in Nashville, Tennessee, and they had an ice sculpture presentation that I could go and see. But I didn't know that it was Frosty the Snowman and that was going to be all little kids. I'm from Canada. I've been to ice sculptures before. We have lots of space and time, and it's fun, and it's sweet and amazing pictures, lots of space to do that. This was a commercial extravaganza. And I already knew before I went in, oh my God, I'm not in Kansas anymore. I walked in and it was back to back kids. It was squished in. People were joining the ice train and this and that. And the pathway was hardly wide enough for 3 people. And it was too much. My nervous system was not ready for that. If that was the only way to live, if that was the only place I could live, I'd have to grow big enough to include that paradigm, right? I paid $60 to tell you this story. It was amazing. It was incredible ice sculptures, but I couldn't even look at them. What happened was that I went into a corner where nobody was, which was very hard to find. And I just went, okay, what do I need to do? And I grew bigger than the situation. So that's one of the tools. I got bigger than what was going on. I realized that I'll be out the other side and these families are having fun and the kids are in awe. And I remember being that little kid and connecting to all of that. And then I saw right beside me was one of the workers. It wasn't really easy to see how to get out. And when you're in a situation like that, so I said, could you show me how to get out? And she basically led the way through all the families and the kids. And within 5 minutes, I was out the other side. And when I got out the other side, because I grew bigger than the situation and appreciated the kids, remember when I would have been one of those kids going, bah! And I got out the other side and right in front of me was a skating rink. I grew up skating. And so I went over and got some ice skates and I skated around their skating rink in Nashville, Tennessee for, I don't know, probably half an hour. It was awesome. It's the last thing I did before I got on the plane. So one of the tools is growing bigger than what's coming. So you might say, what the heck does that mean? You have an imagination. You've already gone through spiral leaps in your life. If you've gotten married, you went through a spiral. If you moved in with someone, you come into a new paradigm. If you've added new features to your website, or if you've evolved your business, you have had to become someone new. But this is a biggie because it's going to pervade your shopping experiences, your phone interactions. You're going to eventually get a new computer that's going to operate in an entirely different way. How we run businesses with AI is going to change. These are massive paradigm shifts. And the entire way the American government works is going to change, and the relationship with our international friends is going to change as well. This is not a political discussion. This is just a fact. I don't judge these things because when you judge, you get in trouble. But we need to grow bigger. Imagine it's 5 years from now, and you've allowed yourself to grow bigger than the circumstances to come. You've already lived 5 years. You've mastered navigating with the new technologies. Maybe you got super curious about part of tech. Maybe you have already understood some of the business evolutions that are wonderful and flashy and all this stuff that's going to happen because of the governmental shifts, some of the opportunities that may happen. Maybe you've let go of some things that aren't happening, but we're growing bigger by actually considering that we don't even need to know what's going on, but because we're awake and aware and we're blessed and smart enough and that we have brains, we've already gotten bigger than all of it. We've already included everything that could happen. We've already allowed our body to catch up to that, just like I did in the Frosty the Snowman. Holy crap. And even there, when it was right in my face, it's not in your face yet. It's going to start getting real how much is coming, which is why we all feel a little bit like our tools are not working. So first thing is grow bigger than. The second thing is when things move this fast, there is a skill to master. It's one of the 24 tenets of the thriving operating system. And that skill is called doing what presents. It's a skill whereby minute by minute, hour by hour, you do what's in the highest. You do what life is giving you. It's not about rationality. It's not about analysis. It's not about weighing pros and cons. In the world to come, doing that kind of stuff, for those of you that are heady and that try to not, oftentimes I've worked with people. I used to be one of them. That's probably why I attract these people. My dad's dad was an engineer. My dad was always trying to get things right because he was always trying to get his dad's approval. And then that got projected on us as kids, trying to get things right. I could feel it from him. So I just thought that's the way that you be. You got to weigh the pros and cons. You can get, I used to get very anxious about getting it right. I took it on myself. And really, it was my dad's ancestry. It wasn't even my dad, right? And so here I am running around weighing pros and cons, and I can't even let anyone else contribute to me because if I get it wrong or if I get it right, it has to be up to me. So if other people contribute to me, then I won't have gotten it right because other people would have helped, right? So very lone wolfy. That heady way of analyzing and being anxious, it's not going to work in the world to come. Our instincts and intuition are going to be everything. Our presence really is what I'm talking about. Being able to be in our own presence is really going to be everything. And that's a skill, doing what presents and doing it efficiently, effectively, and generally relatively immediately as well. The time that we spend, the amount of time that we spent making decisions as over 30s, we're going to have to get used to. So that's part of the new operating system, is being so present that that way of being doesn't work anymore. Now, why am I sharing all of this? Because doing what presents is a skill that requires about, 5 different changes in the way we do our day to day, which is not for today to talk about. I'll give you more information on that later. And doing what presents, it may be what you think needs to get done, but oftentimes it's not what you think needs to get done. It's more about, it's more about what's right in front of you. Like the person's name crosses your mind and then you get right on it. It's really about being present to your connection to your greater wisdom and that which wouldn't be so rational. Executives and trainers and leaders are going to have to get real good at that real fast. And I feel blessed to be in the mastery of that and being able to pay it forward. But let me tell you, it took me a long time. Fortunately, it doesn't have to take everybody else a long time. So doing what presents is one thing. Being so present. So doing what presents requires not being pulled by the outside world. It requires not being pulled by the wants of your wife or your husband. It requires not being pulled by the worries of your kids. It requires not being pulled by the craziness of the world. It literally requires finding a state of neutrality that's so powerful that nothing pulls you out. And so all of the answers you need are either forthcoming or the resources are right there, or you know exactly who to ask. And there's a state of being that allows you to be in that magical flow all the time. Another tool that's essential is to be able to know what in the moment when you are feeling pulled, or when you are being reactive, or when you are finding yourself getting over analyzey. It's a new word. It's a Jenniferism, over analyzey. How about that one? When you are finding yourself getting that way, or when you're feeling overwhelmed by maybe emotionality or whatever, it requires you to have transcendent tools. So one of the tools I love in these times of great change is not only to grow bigger than your circumstances, but to do it before you get to that big meeting. That you actually put yourself on the other side of it, having already experienced it. So an old tool would have been visualization will not work anymore. It's not going to work. It's not going to work, because what happens is we get attached to what we visualize. So visualization is not going to work. However, getting yourself, because it's too specific, because it actually tries to control the circumstances instead of being fluid. It's like, this is what I want, and this is what I want, and this is what I want, and this is what I want. What's going to be far more effective is going to the other side of the meeting or the holiday gathering or whatever it is, and actually imagining how you feel out the other side, imagining how you have interacted out the other side, imagining the satisfaction, imagining that you've given yourself spaciousness, imagining that what it feels like to not have been reactive, but to have been, let's say, inclusive of all possibilities. It's getting out the other side and allowing yourself, it's imagining the other side of it, and being on the other side, retroactively imagining what you would have felt, how the interactions would have been. It's a future projection of the meetings, talking about those meetings or those events as if they've already happened. Let me give you an example. So today, after this, I'm just thinking about, I have a business meeting this afternoon with a couple of people that have an extraordinarily visionary company. However, they're struggling because they're in Asheville. So I really love them. It's a husband and wife. She's very expansive and idea focused. He's very grounded and on earth. And so I'm going to do a future activation. I'm going to talk about the meeting as if it's already over. Okay. And you guys can come along with me. Imagine that whatever meeting or interactions you have, you can use this future activation. You ready? You can borrow mine. I had such a great meeting. It was filled with unexpectedly effective, creative results for them. We were all excited moving forward. We found ourselves clearing the decks of stuff that doesn't work anymore. We found ourselves co-creating possibilities that none of us had even thought about in this business meeting. We dropped into a deeper sense of intimacy with each other, and there was a level of knowing each other that transcended even the idea of trust. And we also found ourselves really excited for the next time we get together because of all the eventualities that happened. That happened during the meeting. It's like, oh my gosh, can't wait for the next time. It was so good. It was so good. I felt very complete at the end of that meeting. I felt like we did exactly what we came for, or better. Now, I want you to know that I end all of my future activations with or better. Even before coming on today, I future activated this interaction, and then Adam helped me with some stuff, and away we go. So future activations, as opposed to visualizations, are going to be far more effective because what they do is they put you in the vibe, but they make you more fluid. They put you in the vibe of what you're up to. They don't tell you how you're going to do it, and they don't attach you to any results. It's about how you feel in the interaction. It's not about what happens in the interaction so that you can be attached to the feeling because that's conditional. Do you get it? If this happens, then I'll feel good. That's conditional. And that's how most people do visualization. They're like, I want this. And then if they don't get them, of course, they feel different. This starts with the end in mind. How do I want to feel? And then you're telling consciousness and life how you want to feel. And you're imagining, you're literally letting yourself feel the feelings of being in the meeting. That's what happens. So that's a second really important tool. We get into that more in our Thriving Operating System program. Let's not live our life like we're trying to get things over with or like we're trying to survive them. You wouldn't have been born in this time if everything that's happening right now wasn't happening for you to be able to thrive. Infinite wisdom doesn't make mistakes. So you must have the capacity to be able to not just be okay with what's to come or make it through, white knuckling it. You have the capacity to flourish. You have the ability to flourish through it. So I'd love to hear from you. What did you hear today from me? Or do you have any questions? What did you hear from this little conversation today? Have you guys been feeling, have you been feeling a little bit of, put it into the comments. Have you been feeling that sense of impending something's going to happen, or that kind of sense that, wow, everything's moving really fast, or that sense that, so this is one of my favorite things. My favorite things. It's not everyone's favorite thing, I can tell you that. So you don't even know what direction to go. I call it a floaty feeling. It's a little unnerving. Have you been feeling that? Yeah. So you are not alone. I think if most people were honest, they would say that there's a little bit of that going on. It depends on how much you've lived your life needing to feel in control. So it's that feeling of floatiness and the feeling of it being unnerving, the unnerving piece of the I don't know what's going on. Okay. The unnerving or the anxious part is going to be directly proportionate to the degree that you felt that you need to have control. So to the degree that you're someone that has felt like you need to have control is directly proportionate to the amount of anxiety you might be having right now. The solution to that, which we're going to work through and reset and renew, is around transcending that. What do you do instead of trying to control things? Are you going to be anxious for the next 5 years? I hope not. What's the alternative way of being? What are we going to do? And the thing is, often when we feel floaty or trying to regain control, we don't want to talk to anybody else. Because if we talk to anybody else, the only way, remember how I said at the beginning of today, the only way to feel in control is if you do it yourself. So I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to process anything. I don't want to tell anyone too much about what I'm going through, because what if I have to make sure that, like, I'm already out of control. I don't need other people's input. You see what I mean? It makes it worse. Ignore things too. I'm going to give you an idea of the other way to be. Of course, the way of being shift from trying to control and predict what the outcomes are going to be so that you can feel safe, because this is really a safety thing, is to actually unplug from pretending that you're a child of of humanity, and starting to relate to yourself as a divine child of an infinite universe. If you want me to say it in less spiritual terms, I would say pragmatically, to become an expert at the laws of physics so deeply to connect to your own innate flow and your own innate personality and your own innate, let's say, central channel of processing as it relates to the quantum field, and understanding that scientifically and pragmatically so deeply that your confidence lies in that way of operating rather than trying to manipulate, orchestrate, or control a very fickle human-based humanity. The quantum world is already way beyond what's going on in humanity. And if you can relate to yourself from that greater picture, now we're talking about going way beyond needing to be in control. You're literally able to dance with whatever comes your way without the fear of the earthly stuff, because you're dancing in the part of you, which is 99.139% of you, that is actually completely connected to the greater field. There's nothing wrong with you. It's very normal. It's so essential to clear the decks and then to start to activate yourself, being able to plug into life in a whole new way. Hey, I deeply appreciate you joining me on the Thriving Life podcast. In these times of great change, it's so good to come together. I'm on a mission to empower you with the knowledge, experiences, and tools to turn your dreams into reality. Your dreams matter. Thank you for joining me, because you, like me, are a movement of one to many. Your thoughts and suggestions really matter to me, so please join me on LinkedIn at Jennifer Huff or on Instagram at The Wide Awakening, and post a comment about what you got from the show, or drop me a DM. I love that. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you enjoy today's show, please leave a review or many reviews. Share the love. It really helps us to reach more people, and that is what a movement is all about. Until next time, keep thriving.